Welcome to the Tennis Warehouse Racket review of the Tecnifibre TFight 305S. With this update, Tecnifibre aims to give you a boost in racket head speed with a more headlight balance and a manageable swing weight, coming in with an average in the mid-320s. The S indicates its more control-oriented 98 square inch head size, while the 18x19 string pattern delivers the added precision and feel needed to attack your opponents with confidence. Tecnifibre reinforces the RS section beam for added pop on your shots, while the foam inside improves shock absorption for a plush feel on contact. Lastly, the ISOFLEX technology creates a more consistent response from the string bed and more forgiveness on off-center contact. With this update to the TFight 305, I really like the subtle improvements that Tecnifibre made to this racket. Starting off with the paint job, the glossy finish to this gives it a nice look. Also a crisp, clean feel in my opinion. I also noticed a more maneuverable racket here. With the previous one, it had a pretty beefy swing weight, kind of in that like mid 330 to 340 range. This one feels much faster. So I was a little worried that it maybe lost a little stability and whatnot, but I think it maintained it really well. They made a little bit thicker beam with this one. Not necessarily the way we measure the beam, but more volume to it. I think that gave it some good stability. Loved it from the baseline, that slightly more powerful response from the thicker beam, and the 18-19 string pattern had a nice balance of power and control. Up at net, I did notice that more maneuverable feel, that lower swing weight. Felt nice and easy to place the ball. The 18-19 string bed gave me that connection. If I was going for touch shots, really felt like I could place it throughout the court. From the baseline, nice and fast. I might add a little bit of weight to this one, maybe a leather grip. Just a little bit of swing weight for some plow through. Also on serve, I really enjoyed this one on the flat serves. When it came to the spin serves, I got a little bit more bite and easier arc on the ball from the 315. But as far as like placement goes, I was a really good spot server with this racket. So all in all, maybe a little bit of customization here. And I think for like hitting through the court, a little bit more of a flatter stroke, especially on the slice. I enjoyed the 18-19 string pattern on this update.
I really like what Tecnifibre have done with the update of this TFight 305. Feels a lot faster in my hand. The other one had heavier swing weight, had great plow through power, but it just took a little more effort to get through contact. I found this racket faster feeling, and with that I'm getting better access to spin, more access on my backhand slice, can flick the wrist and go down the line or cross court, cup underneath the ball, hit a nice little dropper. Lots of fun, easier to do with this newer version of the racket. And then likewise on the top spin ground strokes too, getting some nice loop, good shape on the ball, plenty of height over the net, ball's dipping nicely inside the lines. And the racket's got a really crisp and clean feel, so I have a good sense of the pace and depth I'm getting, feel very connected to my targets. That translates to a net as well, where I can really feel like I was placing my volleys well. Again, cupping under the ball to give it a little bit of spin, get it away from the opponent quickly. And then I've got that connectivity to really feel confident attacking those aggressive volleys. On serve, good access to pace and spin. Really nice update on this racket, one I've really enjoyed playing with.
I was on a lot of the playtests for the new TFights from Tecnifibre, and I will have to say that this 305 variant is actually going to be my favorite one of the bunch. Really enjoyed how this frame played from all areas of the court. The main experience that I derived was solid. Just a very dependable frame, extremely reliable on ground strokes. Really enjoyed how this encouraged me to hit through my shots a little bit more on my forehand, something I struggle with at times, so it was definitely nice to have some extra help there. And I felt like the 18 main racket still had plenty of good spin and a really high launch angle, so I felt like I could shape balls effectively, roll them to either side of the court without a problem. And again, on serve, this racket was just a super, super solid for me. Really enjoyed going for aggressive spots and going for kicks out wide with the serves. But overall, this is one of the more maneuverable frames that I've played in this weight classification. It's an extremely fast frame. I know that that was one of the sort of design stories going into these new TFights. And I do think that Tecnifibre really has something special here. It's an extremely maneuverable racket compared to its predecessor, and I really enjoy how this racket plays from all areas of the court. Probably gonna need some more time with it, but for now, this is my favorite frame from Tecnifibre. Over here on the West Coast, we strung this racket up with Black Code Lime and Razor Code for this hybrid setup, and Tecnifibre 4S and our other setup, both at roughly 50 to 52 pounds. That's everything here in California. Jofi, what'd you think of the TFight 305S?
Thanks, guys. I can honestly say this was the most fun playtest of the year for me. This was a highly anticipated racket from Tecnifibre, and I think they did an amazing job with it. First of all, Tecnifibre lowered the swing weight on this racket, which honestly I think was a great move. This way, this racket became a bit more easy to maneuver for most tennis players. I think the bit lower swing weight is a great aspect of this racket, and it will be just a bit more easily accessible to most tennis players, and they will appreciate that. The racket head will swing around just a bit faster than the previous version, which I definitely appreciated. I think the lower swing weight is a great aspect of this racket. I definitely think it will be easier to maneuver and bring the racket head around than the previous version. For anybody that might be worried about the lower swing weight of this racket, I can definitely reassure you that the racket feels just as stable as before. I do play against a lot of players that hit the ball very heavy, and my racket did not get pushed around once. I love the amount of control I was getting with this racket. It felt very precise, and it helped me a lot with my riskier shots that I like to take. I do love those sharper angles where I can just go for the ball pretty aggressively and use that sharp angle across the court to win the point. And I could always trust this racket to assist me with the precision I needed. I definitely enjoyed the racket on touch shots as well. I love to play with a lot of touch, sometimes even too much, and I really enjoyed the feel I was getting with this frame. I don't think there was a shot where I didn't feel connected enough to this racket. I will also say I had plenty of power, just enough, and great spin as well. But just to make this racket the perfect one for me, I would need just a little bit more spin, but that is just a personal preference. All in all, the new TFight 305 is an incredible racket, probably one of my favorites this year, or maybe even all time, and it's a must to demo. Thank you for watching. We strung up this new Tecnifibre TFight 305 with razor coat and razor soft at around 52 pounds. For more information on this racket or any others, please go check out Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Warehouse Europe, or Tennis Only.